we're talking. Okay, now you should hear me and see me, and this time you're also supposed to see me. Hi, everyone! Thank you so much for joining me on today's quiz time. Okay, 1 second. I need to double check that this works. I'm not convinced quite yet that I've set everything up correctly. There were some things that were a little bit buggy earlier, and I tried to fix them, and that's also why you briefly saw me. Hi everyone, I'm going to do the intro, and then I'm going to figure out if everything works as it is supposed to. We have a warm-up quiz after all, that should then also tell me that everything is set up right. Thank you so much for being here. This is Hobbie's live quiz time, normally hosted by the phenomenal Matthias. However, he is on vacation this week, so this week you've got me as your interim host, as your little substitute. And thank you for joining me. Someone is asking, why have I got a crown next to my name, MBD? I think it means you're like a top commenter or top contributor on the chat or something like that. I'm also not 100% sure, but I think it's something that YouTube does or automatically to just say, hey, this person comments quite a lot. And I can see Jillian saying it's a pretty warm day in Nova Scotia, Canada. And loads of people saying that it is either quite hot where they are or not all that hot or somewhere in between. I have hat hair today, which is why I'm wearing a cap, but also because I figured I'm going to kind of channel my inner Matthias while I'm already here replacing him. I'm going to just, you know, be a little bit more, embrace my madness, so to speak. And Allo Strings and Yarns is asking where Stephen is. So Stephen has sadly left Hobbii. He left already quite a while ago. He got a new job, and we're all super happy for him, of course. It is still sad. I do still dearly miss him. It was always very fun to hang out with him and get to work with him on bingos and other live streams. And Kristen is asking if this is live. Yes, it is, Kristen. Welcome. I am trying to watch the chat, and I'm trying to watch the chat on both Facebook and YouTube, so there's quite a lot of activity going on in front of me. But I do hope that everything works out. And Charlie is saying, this is actually my first ever Hobbii show. Amazing! Thank you for joining and welcome. This is a super, super sweet community that you've got here, both on YouTube and Facebook. So if you have any questions, they're more than happy to help you out if you don't understand how something works. But then also, of course, I am here to help you through the show. So today it's Hobbii quiz time, and all it is a fun little game quiz show that we started a while back. And the entire idea is to just give you a chance to have some fun, test your knowledge. The questions are all loosely yarn related. Sometimes they're more specific, sometimes they're a little broader. It always depends on what kind of inspiration strikes that particular week. So it's always a bit of a matter of some weeks it is extremely yarn focused with how many sheep are there in the continental US, and or what is the exact make of an Angora yarn. And other times it's very fun and funky. Last week I made a big mistake when I set up one of the questions. Those of you who were there will remember I somehow got my yardage and weight mixed up, so the answer didn't make sense. I apologize for that. But yeah, that's basically what the show is. We have 3 rounds of quizzes today, and in each of them you can win a gift card worth $25 or the equivalent in your currency. So if you're in the UK, that's roughly £20. Etc. If you're watching from one of the Scandi countries, it'll be something in whatever crown it is that you are paying with. So the gift card is 25 USD, thereabouts. So we'll have 3 quizzes. 2 of them are trivia with multiple choice, and one of them is a guessing game where you have to guess a number. Each quiz has 5 questions, and the way you answer is simply by typing your answer in the chat when it is asked of you. We will have a warm-up in just a second that should explain the mechanics of it to you so that you can kind of see how it goes. In the meantime, of course, I'll also chat with you guys in the chat and see what is happening and try to keep an eye on everything. And that's it. And at the very end, as a thank you to all of you, we'll also have a general giveaway that will also be picked from the chat at random, where basically you'll just get to type a code word in the chat and everyone has the same shot at getting a prize. And so we'll have 4 total prizes today that we're giving out. I'm trying to see the chat, and I'm really enjoying seeing that. Lots of you seem to have just gotten orders or have just placed orders. I actually got an order last week because I also ordered myself some of our new merch. I ordered the grey hoodie because I really liked it when we did the photo shoot, and so I thought, I'll treat myself to a grey hoodie. But also, one of my good friends reached out yesterday and said, hey, I need new knitting needles. Can you maybe hook me up? And I was like, yeah, sure, send me what you need. So I actually placed another order this morning with some needles for her and then also some yarn for myself. So it's a never-ending story. Whenever I say, oh, I'm done with the yarn for now, and then I never am. It's just always wrong. But, you know, that's how it is. So, shall we do a little warm-up quiz? And I'm going to give you a little warning here because, like I said, it is a little bit buggy in the setup, so it'll take a second before you see it, but there should also be a countdown. So let's try that and see if I can set it up in the time that it takes. Let's see. Yeah, that's not how you're supposed to look. But how do I fix you? This better? No, this is worse. Ah, look at that. Oh my god, she is a genius. Her technical ability knows no end. Amazing. Now I just have to figure out that this is the camera I now need to turn on, and I need to also fix that camera. Oh, hello. Look at that. Right in time to ask you the first question. And the answer is simply, am I on the right quiz? What number am I thinking of? So you're just going to have to guess a random number. And I'll be very honest, this is a quiz Matt made. I don't know the number. So we'll see whichever answer you put in. So this is what it would be like for the guessing game. If we're playing the guessing game and I'm asking you for a number, all you have to do to answer is just pop any number in the chat. It'll take the first answer it reads, so during the window, so it tells you a little timer at the top, right? So 30 seconds left to answer. During that window, the first number you type, it's going to count as your answer. So it's just going to take that, and then you'll see who got closest and who answered the fastest, and it'll calculate points based on that. And then you're gonna have that. So this is the first one. We're doing this as a warm-up, so there's not gonna be a winner. It's just to show you the mechanic of how this game works. And so it is going through all of these, and in a second we'll also find out which answer it is, because like I said, I did not set this one up. I clicked the wrong one on accident. So let's see which one Matt put in as the correct answer here. I feel like last week's was smoother, but then I think last week's was also the day after Matt had told me. So the answer he put in was 15. So let's see if any of you got close to 15 and got that right. It looks like some people got very close and got a lot of points. So that is how the guessing game works. So we'll have one of those later where you can then guess numbers. And I'm going to go ahead and put us on the next one, which is this one, and then I'm gonna have to turn this one off, and then actually I'm going to immediately turn it back on again, because now we're doing the second warm-up game. This is the one I was originally gonna do. Some people are excited that they got first place. Yeah, sadly we're in the warm-up, so whatever place you get here does not count for the further quiz. However, after this, we're going to go straight into our first proper quiz, so don't you worry. You've got 10 seconds left to get yourself ready. This is the regular trivia setup, meaning each answer has a number associated with it, and you can simply type that number in the chat to log it in. So, for this question, I already answered this, but who is your host today? Is it 1, Sandra, 2, Louisa, 3, Erica, or 4, Angela? If you think it's Sandra, you type 1 in the chat. If you think it's Louisa, you type 2 in the chat. If you think it's Erica, you type 3 in the chat. If you think it's Angela, you type 4 in the chat. So, of course, most of you would know the answer to this, since I did tell you my name just a little bit ago. And also the other 3 very lovely ladies are once again named in the phenomenal hit Mambo No. 5. So I made it very easy on myself to think of other names. Sherilyn is excited for Mambo No. 5. Yeah, I did it last week as well. But yeah, so which of these ladies is not in Mambo No. 5, and which of them is your host? So 1 if you think the answer is Sandra, 2 if you think it's Louisa, 3 if you think it's Erica, 4 if you think it's Angela, and you just type that number in the chat, as you can see most of your friends do right now, and that is how you log in your answer. It's as easy as that. And of course, I assume that most of you got this one correct. It'd be very funny if some of you didn't, but then maybe some of you were also in on the joke and just decided to have fun with it. Since it's not for any prize just yet. I can see that almost all of you answered correctly. There were 3 outliers who had a little time to joke around, but that is also a-okay, since of course you can't win anything. So this is how it works. You just type the answer in the chat that you think is the right one. The first answer you type in is going to be the one that gets counted. So it's going to count your first answer and none of the others. And then it'll give you points based on that, which of course we're not getting for this one because it is only the warm-up. But either way, we would have had a lucky winner for this one. It would have been Queen's Calls Creative. You get bragging rights for answering, coming first in the warm-up quiz. And that is how it is going to continue for the next few rounds. And that is how it is going to look. I need to turn this camera off and be back on the big one. Are you ready for a proper quiz this time, not just for the warm-up ones? You've now seen how both the number guessing game and the trivia game works. The first one we're going to do is going to be a trivia round. So once again, you're going to be answering numbers between 1 and 4 to give your answer, to log in your answer. You can also type out the answer in the chat. It'll also read that. So whatever feels best to you, to just type out the answer. Make just sure that you match the spelling of how it is spelled here, because of course it is looking for that specific word and not an alternate spelling of it. But yeah, that is how it works. And with that, I would say let's start with the first real quiz of the night. This one, a trivia round that I came up with, and let's get started with that. Haha. For this first little trivia round, I once again, like last week, designed a little picture guessing game. So for each of these questions, I'm actually going to show you a picture from our website. It will be quite zoomed in and it will be quite sometimes hard to see what you're dealing with, but I want you to tell me what you think this is. Do you think this is 1, stitch markers, 2, scissors, 3, paper clips, or 4, cable needles? What do you think this is? The picture that is now up, what do you think that is? The first one is still relatively easy. I've made them in varying degrees of difficulty for you to guess. So if you think these are stitch markers, you just have to type the number 1 in the chat. If you think these are scissors, you type 2. If you think these are paper clips, you type 3. If you think these are cable needles, you type number 4. So whatever you think this might be, this kind of zoomed in, slightly grainy picture, you just type that number in the chat to guess. 1, 2, 3, or 4, which one is it? What are you looking at right there? And I can see loads of different answers. I can also see some people who seem to be a little bit behind, who are still answering, I think, for the very first quiz. So I'm going to take this away, and I'm actually going to quickly show you what it was you were looking at. It was, of course, a set of stitch markers, and they are cat-shaped. It is a set of cat-shaped stitch markers that you can find on our website. I thought they looked really cute. We do actually also have a Halloween edition of those same stitch markers. I just thought they were really, really cute. But I also thought, looking at them that close, if you're not expecting it, it could be something different. It could very well be maybe some paper clips. It could be part of a pair of scissors. So, you know, this is how the game works. We have 4 more of the same kinds of questions coming up. So I'm going to show you a picture again in a few seconds. And I want you to tell me, once again, what it is you see in that picture. So picture number 2 is of a yarn, and the question is, which yarn is that? Which yarn are you looking at right there on that picture? Is it 1, seashell? Is it 2, rainbow bamboo? Is it 3, olivine? Is it 4, our friend's cotton? 8, 6. Which of our yarns do you think you are seeing on that very picture right there? If you think it's seashell, she sells seashells, you type number 1. If you think it's all somewhere over the rainbow, bamboo, you type 2. If you think this is olivin, you type 3. Or if you think it is Friends Cotton 86, you type 4. That is how the game works, and I can see loads of answers on the chat, and I can see quite a few different answers. So this time it seems that people are not 100% sure which yarn it is they're looking at. And I mean, it is hard to see. It is a fairly small picture that where I'm showing you there, but that is kind of the point. It's supposed to be a little bit more difficult. And I can now reveal that what you were looking at was a product picture from our website. And I can actually show you that product picture here. And it is also going to reveal what yarn you were looking at. And the yarn you were looking at is one that I'm currently working with, and it is seashell. You can see it was zoomed in on this part of the product picture. So seashell was the yarn you were looking at. And I see I fooled a lot of you. A lot of you thought it was Friends Cotton 86, which makes sense because they're actually quite similar in thickness, and the color also looks like it could be part of the Friends collection. So I can definitely see why you were fooled there by what this could have been, but it was indeed seashell, which was a yarn that we also had on our live shopping this Tuesday. The next one, I apologize to anyone who doesn't like the sight of holes, but what do you think this is? Do you think this is part of 1, a yarn cutter, 2, a thimble, 3, a lint shaver, 4, a crafting lamp? What kind of product do you think I zoomed in here? And what do you think this picture shows? Like, what do you think this is a part of? You can, of course, again, answer 1 if you think it's part of a yarn cutter, 2 if you think it's part of a thimble, 3 if you think it's part of a lint shaver, or 4 if you think it is part of a crafting lamp. Whichever one do you think it is? Just type 1, 2, 3, or 4 in the chat, or of course you can type out the word to log in your answer, and it's going to take the first answer you type in. So if you think, obviously this is the foot of a crafting lamp, and then you go, nope, 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 it's the lint shaver, it's too late. If you've logged in one number, it's going to count that number, and I'm going to take that away in case someone doesn't like seeing those kinds of pictures. And I feel like people are a little bit more confident answering this one than they were with the one before. And I can, of course, reveal what it is in just a second. I'm going to make it a little bit more. I'm not going to take away the answer before it reveals it at the top. It is, of course, a thimble that I zoomed in on. It's an ergonomic thimble that we have on the website, and those holes help you get a really nice grip as you're working. So that is what that was, and we're going to have 2 more of these. And like I said, I tried varying difficulty here a little bit, but we're now moving on to question number 4, where I'm once again going to show you a picture of a yarn and ask you if you know what yarn this is. Is this 1, Universe, 2, Twister Glitter, 3, Twisted Love, or 4, Glitter Delight? Which Hobbii yarn do you think it is that you see in this picture? And again, if you think it's Universe, just type number 1 in the chat. If you think it is Twister Glitter, just type number 2. If you think it's Twisted Love, type number 3. If you think it's Glitter Delight, type number 4. That is how the game works, and I can see loads of you logging in their answers in the chat. 1, 2, 3, or 4, Universe, Twister Glitter, Twisted Love, or Glitter Delight. Which one do you reckon is this? I have, of course, again, zoomed in quite a lot on this picture, so it might be a little bit tricky. 1, 2, 3, or 4, and you've got 1 second left, and now the timer's up, so I'm going to take the picture away. And this one was maybe also a little bit harder because I actually zoomed in on a picture of a pattern. So the pattern that I zoomed in on is called the Snip Snip Scarf, and I zoomed in on that product picture. but it is of course made in a Hobbii yarn, and that Hobbii yarn is Universe in the color 10 Nebula, which is actually the same yarn I showed you last week. I just showed you a different pattern last week. I left the entire question the same. I just picked a different picture of the same yarn because I thought maybe I could get some of you who were here last week who would say, well, she's not going to show us the same yarn again, is she? But I would. I absolutely would. Mm. Oh no, Rebecca just joined a little bit late. I'm so sorry. We're in quiz 1, so you've still got 2 more coming up plus the giveaway at the end. And then I'm going to quickly show the final picture, and the question is, what Hobbii product might this be? Is that 1, a stellar interchangeable needle? Is that 2, a shiny darning needle? Is that 3, a chromatic pen? Or is that 4, the Betula double-pointed needle? What is the name of this product that you're looking at? What are you looking at here? Is that, and of course with this one, it is going to be a lot easier if you just type the 1, 2, 3, or 4, rather than typing out words such as stellar interchangeable needle, shiny darning needle, chromatic pen, or Betula double-pointed needle. I already abbreviated double-pointed needle, but still, it's still a long one. So 1 if you think it's stellar, 2 if you think it's a shiny darning needle, 3 if you think it's a chromatic pen, or 4 if you think it's the Betula double-pointed needle. What are you looking at here? What is seen on this picture? And I can take away the picture again, and nope, that was not what I meant to do. I will take away the picture and I will show you my face. And I can, of course, now also reveal the product. And most of you got it bang on. It is the tip of a stellar interchangeable circular needle. So it is the interchangeable needle, like the tips that you can buy if you want to add to your set. And it was the very tip of one of those that you saw in that picture. I do think a kind of chromatic, cool colored pen would look very, very cool. I will say, I would spend money on that if Hobbii asked me to. They are very, very beautiful needles too. Made from aluminum, and you can either buy them in a set or you can buy individual ones if you want to treat yourself. And with that, we have found our first winner of the night, and it is Cassie Oswald, who actually got all 5 questions correct. So Cassie, congratulations, you are our first winner. We do also have, of course, our 2nd and 3rd place, who get bragging rights. They do not win a prize, but congrats to you as well. And to all of you who can see yourselves up here, you've made it to the very top, but only one can be a winner, and it is Cassie today. Cassie Oswald, congratulations. You are winner number 1 on this glorious, glorious day. And in order to get your $25 or equivalent in your currency gift card, what I'm going to ask you to do is to write us an email. Please email us Cassie Oswald at live@hobbii.com for your gift card. I'm going through the inbox tomorrow. That's my number 1 task tomorrow. So also if you emailed about a gift card from the live shopping on Tuesday, and you're still waiting for your answer, do not worry, I have not forgotten about you, but I'll do it tomorrow. So live@hobbii.com, Cassie Oswald, please send us an email for a chance to get your gift card. And that was quiz number 1. That was our first little trivia round that we did today. I hope you enjoyed. Deanne says 3 out of 5, not horrible. Exactly, and I will say I tried making it a little harder. I tried making it a little more difficult by, you know, zooming in on some of the pictures, and I know depending on what device you're looking at, it might also not be that easy. But I'm personally always a really big fan of those kinds of, where they blur a painting, and then as time ticks on, little by little, more and more is revealed, and you have to be the fastest to guess what it is. I really like those kinds of games, so I kind of thought, how can I adapt this for quiz time? And also this way, you now get to, every time you're on our website, really pay attention to some of those tiny, tiny, tiny details, and maybe they'll make it onto a different live shopping in the future. So that was our first game. Cassie, congrats for being our first winner today. And I think we can just move straight into our next one. And this is, of course, like I said, the guessing game. And the guessing game last week, you'll remember, I kind of tried to find some inspiration by making it all about one yarn. And I've done the same again. different yarn though. You will see what I mean in just a second. I'm going to move into the next one. So I'm going to have to turn on this camera and I'm going to turn you back on. So we've got 25 seconds. So if you'll remember from the warm-up, the one that I actually accidentally made that I wasn't actually going to make but then still showed you, in the warm-up I showed you the question where I was like, which number am I thinking of? This is the same thing now. So now what I want you to answer is a number, and it's only supposed to be a number, so only the number. Don't put any measurements, don't put any words with it, don't write out the number, just type the number. And the yarn I chose is toucan, and my first question to you is, in Scrabble, what amount of points do the letters in toucan add up to? I will preface this by saying I used US and UK rules. I'm of course assuming that you're not getting any bonuses, so it's just the number value of toucan, so just the numbers of the letters. What does toucan add up to? So just every letter in Scrabble has a number value associated with it. If you're not getting any boni, you're not getting anything, you're just putting out the word. What's the number of points you're going to get for toucan? Of course, Scrabble values vary from language to language, so I used English because I assumed that most of you might be English speakers, because of course certain letters show up a lot more in certain languages than in others. But what is the numeric kind of value that Scrabble assigns to the word toucan, spelled like so? Toucan is, many of you will know, my favorite chenille yarn, so I kind of thought it'd be fun to put it as one of the yarns that I'm going to talk about today. And the answer for English is actually 5 of the letters just get you 1 point. That is T-O-U-A-N, and C gets you 3 points, so you get a total of 8 points. And I can see that Liv, for instance, answered correctly and quickly, and so that is how many points toucan is worth in Scrabble. I do enjoy playing Scrabble a lot. I've played in German most of the time because I play it with my family most often. And it is always very, very funny to see what some people think might be a word. And then big debates break out. And our go-to is then to check the dictionary to see if it actually is. This one is for all of you who were here last week. It's time to do some maths. What is the maximum number of toucan skeins that the Saturn V rocket could have transported to the moon? This is once again assuming that there is nothing else on the rocket. It is only transporting toucan skeins, which means we don't have a lunar module, we don't have a lander, we have nothing. Meaning it could shoot the toucan to the moon, but then nothing could land on the moon. So just, if you look at the maximum payload for the Saturn V rocket, how many skeins of toucan could you have shot up to the moon? For those who don't know, the Saturn V rocket, I talked about this last week, I went on a deep dive. It's the rocket that brought the Apollo missions into space and to the moon. So it is the rocket that was used to fly the Apollo missions in space exploration and specifically up to get to the moon. So it obviously had to transport quite a big payload, but that the payload is the mass that it can transport in terms of what it can take with it. And of course, it had to transport the astronauts, the food, the lunar lander, everything, any kind of scientific devices you may have needed. But if they had left all of that behind, shot 0 astronauts, 0 anything, the very, very max upper end of the payload was 48.6 tons, so 48,600 kilograms of mass that it could transport. Toucan has 100 grams per skein, so you could have shot 486,000 skeins of toucan up there. And this is the the payload that it had for, I think, Apollo 17, for one of the later space missions. So of course they also made the rocket better over time. But yeah, this is how much toucan you could have shot to the moon if you had sent it. And I always love measuring in really, really dumb measurements, and I think this is the stupidest one I've come up with. We have a lovely pattern for toucan, which is called the Veggie Friends. I am showing you a picture right here, and what I want you to guess or to know is how many skeins of toucan do you actually need to make the Veggie Friends. So the Veggie Friends is a crochet pattern that we have that you can make in toucan. And so the question is, how many skeins of toucan do you need to make the Veggie Friends? And that is the entire set, so all of the veggies. All of the veggies, how many is it going to need? How many toucans do you need to make the Veggie Friends pattern that I'm showing you right there? What is another very fun way you could give yarn amounts? So instead of saying, oh, that is 10 times as many as, or that is about a third of what the Saturn V rocket could shoot into space, what's another fun way that you could say? Because I love the idea of, like, you know, how much yarn could fill a swimming pool. That I'm going to do. I'm already telling you, in a few months you're going to get a like water of an Olympic swimming pool, how many skeins of XYZ yarn. So you'd better brush up on your how much water is in a like standard sized Olympic swimming pool. The answer for this one is 12. The pattern asked for 12 skeins. You can probably already guess if you just look at the amounts of colors right there. Of course, you're not going to use up every single skein, but if you want all the colors available to make all of the little veggies in the Veggie Friends pattern, you're going to need 12 skeins in total. It's 12 colors, and you're going to need one of each skein. If you think we're done with stupid maths, you're not. Roughly how many skeins of toucan, the yarn, do you need if you want to have them to have the same weight as an average adult toko toucan? That is the largest species of toucan. And I will be very honest, if you look up the weight, it's going to fluctuate between a few values. I took the average of those amounts. So I kind of went, I went on, what was it? I went on National Geographic, I went on Wikipedia, I went on PBS, and I went on a Zoo World Experience website. And all of them had, some of them had the same, some of them had different amounts. But I took the average, and I just want you to guess, basically. Roughly how many skeins of toucan would you need if you want to have the same weight as an adult toko toucan? So that is the biggest and heaviest family of toucan birds. How heavy do you reckon a toucan is, a real one? I also just wanted an excuse to show that picture. So the weight I found was between 8.5 and 1.9 pounds. That is somewhere in the realm between 700 and 860 grams. I therefore kind of went with the average, and I said 8 skeins is what you would need, so 800 grams, since that is kind of the midpoint for an adult toko toucan, which are these super cute birds. And I just think, like, what a good job did Daniel and Aline do when they made this little logo. Because, I mean, look at this little guy. And then that, I mean, very, very nice representation. Also, toucans are absolutely beautiful birds. So I was also quite excited for that. And for the final question, and if you were here last week, you'll know what's coming now. Remember all those toucan skeins we just shot to the moon? I wanted to make Veggie Friends with them. How many times could I make the Veggie Friends pattern? I did assume that you would need 12 skeins for a Veggie Friends pattern, even though you might have some leftovers. But for the Veggie Friends pattern, it's at 12 skeins, and we shot a whole lot of skeins of toucan into space just now. So the question is, if we had instead shipped up the Veggie Friends, how many would we have shipped up there? So out of all the toucan we shot to the moon, how many Veggie Friends could we have sent instead? And again, Veggie Friends assuming the entire set, so I just counted one, I basically divided the amount by 12 to get the number. But you know the logic. So now please imagine a whole load of these just floating around in space. Just these guys floating around in space. There's actually even more in the set. So the set also includes a beetroot and a few others that are not on that particular picture that I showed you. If you go on the website, you'll see the full pattern has even more veggies. And now just imagine those veggies floating around the moon. And then some astronaut comes up and goes, wow, it's a whole lot of toucan I see here. The answer is 40,500. You could have shot 40,500, or you could have shot the toucan to the moon, and then in the next mission you could have gone up to the moon, and then you could have made 40,500 Veggie Friends patterns up there, which I am looking forward to the day when there is just, you know, when going to other planets has become so commonplace that you can then send someone there just to be the first person to knit or the first person to crochet. You know, kind of the way that there's now always someone doing it for the first time on Everest. It's like, oh, the first person to, crochet on Everest, the first person to send an email from Everest or whatever. one day that's going to be the moon. And we've got our next winner, and it is Rachel. Rachel Kakulis, congratulations. You are our second winner of the night. You can look forward to getting your gift card worth $25 or equivalent in your currency. So Rachel, congrats. Please do send us an email. I'll show you the email address in a second, although I'm pretty sure that you know the email address because I think you've won before, if I'm not completely mistaken. So Rachel, congrats, and please email us at live@hobbii.com. And please do include also, see, good thing I remember saying that now, please do include the information on which currency it is that you're shopping in or which domain you usually place your orders from, because we need to make sure that we localize your gift card so that it works for you. If you are shopping from Denmark, for instance, you're going to need a different gift card than if you're shopping from the US because it's a different domain, and so we need to make the code correct for you. The same goes for Cassie, our previous winner. So please email us and please do include the information on where it is that you're sending that email from. Maybe the top of Mount Everest. Kelly says, I made the top 20. Woo woo! I mean, this was a hard one, right? Because one, you have to look up a lot of numbers and then you have to do a lot of maths. But the idea is still funny. I think the idea of shooting a ton of yarn into space is just arguably really funny. And also the idea of just from now on, if someone says to me, oh, it's this many kilograms, just say, ah, so 3 adult toucans. Interesting. You know, that is how I roll. I'm very fun at parties. I can see Cynthia saying congrats to all the winners. Congrats indeed to all of you. Oh, and Cassie just said, thank you, I'm going to redo my email. Yep, sorry, I forgot to say that before. But yeah, we're going to need to know that information. Alrighty, we do have one final quiz for tonight. It is another trivia round, and it is actually a true or false round. So Matt came up with this concept a while back, and he's been really enjoying them, and I actually thought it was also really fun. And so I have made a lot of questions that are all or mostly about products, but also a few that are just some fun facts. And in fact, most of them are fun facts that I think we've also had on previous quiz time. So this is also for you returning folks. You might actually know the answers to these. All of the ones that I'm going to ask you now are going to be true or false, meaning that you have a 50-50 chance of getting them right. So even if you just guess, it's true or false. All you have to do is guess and yeah, figure out which one it is, I guess, and get lucky. Cozy AF Crafts is saying, I really need a win today. Fingers crossed, it's true or false. So, you know, it's a 50-50 chance, even if you just go with your gut. So you will definitely have a good chance now, as will, I mean, most of you, because it is 50-50. True or false, Friends Cotton 84, this lovely yarn, has a bigger selection of colors than Amigo. This is Friends Cotton 84. There's a 4-ply cotton yarn, fingering or sock weight, and this is Amigo. It is a light worsted weight acrylic yarn. So you've got these two, and the question is, does this yarn have a bigger selection of colors than this? Does this come in more colors than this? If you think that's true, just type 1 in the chat. If you think it's false, if you think Amigo has the bigger color palette, you put 2 in the chat. I'm talking about just these two products, so just their colors in comparison or contrast. So of course we do have other Friends Cotton yarns, we do have other Amigo yarns. Forget about all of them, we're just looking at Friends Cotton 84 and Amigo, so just these two products. Does Friends Cotton have the bigger selection of colors? True or false? There's the big battle between two of our, I think, most beloved and also our two of the yarns that have are known for their very big selection of colors. The answer is true. There is actually more than 100 shades of Friends Cotton 84, and Amigo comes in 60 different colors. 60 colors I think is already a huge color palette, but of course more than 100 of the cotton I think it does make sense. I do think actually our friends Cotton Yarns have the largest color palette of all the yarns that we sell. I'm not 100% sure on that information, but I'm fairly certain. But yeah, so 1 or 2, and in this case, number 1 was correct. Question number 2, and this is one that we've had on a quiz many months ago. The German word for double crochet roughly translates to little staff or little rod. So the German term for double crochet, if you translate it, roughly translates to a little staff or a little rod. Is that true? In that case, type 1, or is it false? In that case, type 2. Which one of them is correct? Is the German word for a double crochet something similar or something that you would roughly translate to a little staff or a little rod? 1 if you think that's true, 2 if you think that's false. I will, of course, reveal the answer in a few seconds. I am, after all, German, so that is one term that I should have learned or did learn quite early on in my crafting journey. So the German word for a double crochet is Stäbchen. And anytime you have a word in German that ends in chen, you can be very certain that it is a diminutive form of a word. So it is a smaller version of something bigger. And Stab in German is a rod or a staff. So it is correct. The German term for half double crochet is Stäbchen, and that means a small rod or a little staff. And so it's correct. And anytime you see something with chen in German, so the word for girl is Mädchen, and that actually means kleine Maid, so small woman. And it actually works. To be fair, the term for Mädchen is very like the... Anyway, let's go to the next one. True or false? Our yarn Rococo Linen is made from a blend of cotton, linen, and viscose. Is it made from these 3, or is it made from something else? Our yarn Rococo Linen is made from a blend of cotton, viscose, and linen. Is that correct? In that case, type 1 for true, or is it false? In that case, type 2 for false. And as I was saying, like Mädchen, like, yeah, little, and then I believe it comes from Maid, which is a kind of old-fashioned way of saying like a young woman. And so it's like that. I'm not 1,000% sure that that's where it's from, but I would assume that it is. And so that is how you know that a girl is basically a small woman. But there are many other examples of this that you use also for like if like you have a glass, that's Glas. If you're having a small glass, that's Gläschen. So that's how German works. But now, of course, the question was about our yarn Rococo Linen, which is a yarn that I'm currently using. I have a few projects running at the same time. I'm making more of the same scarf that I've been making for about a year now for a wedding that I'm attending. And I have ordered Seashell and I've ordered Rococo Linen because I wanted to see which one I like better. And it is in fact made out of cotton, linen, and viscose. And I just kicked something under the table. I'm going to stop doing that. So it's going. Kristen is saying, what is viscose anyway? Viscose is a really interesting fiber. It's, the other term for it is rayon. Maybe you're more familiar with that. It is an artificial fabric or textile that is made from natural cellulose. So it's a really interesting fiber. True or false? And this one is about Dancing Queen, and it is about this pattern, the Sylvia bag. True or false, 2 skeins of Dancing Queen are needed to make the Sylvia bag. So this is the bag and this is the yarn. Is it true or false that you need 2 of these to make this bag? If you think it's true, type 1. If you think it's false, type 2. So this is the bag and this is the yarn. Do you need 2 Dancing Queens to make the Sylvia bag? 1 if you think it's true, 2 if you think it's false. But yeah, back to viscose. So a lot of the viscose that we have on our website is often made from bamboo. So what you usually use as the natural basis for the cellulose is wood. And so you would, for instance, use bamboo break that down to the very, very base cellulose level, and then it gets treated and turned into an artificial fiber. So it is an artificial fiber, but it is made based on a natural and renewable resource. And it's a really, really interesting process. It was originally, I believe, created actually as a dupe for silk, because silk was, of course, super expensive, but has since been used quite a lot in different things, and is a really, really nice material to work with. And of course, most of you got this one right. Yes, you do need 2 of these to make 1 of these. That is correct. 2 Dancing Queen make 1 Sylvia bag. Dancing Queen is this super fun, funky yarn that has one of my favorite labels as well. And it is really fun to work with, but I highly recommend using a hook that glides really well, because otherwise you're gonna have a lot of really annoying sounds. This final question is about next week's quiz time. True or false? Next week there will be no quiz time. Is that 1 true or 2 false? And Kristen says, I do know rayon. See, it's often just a matter of, viscose I think is the more common term in Europe. In German it's also, for instance, called viscose. So yeah, I think it's just a matter of where you're from, which term you're more familiar with. So true or false? There will be no quiz time next week. 1 if it's true, 2 if it's false. 1 or 2. Will there be a quiz time next week? 1 or 2 to give your answer. 1 or 2. Will there be a quiz time next week? Da-da. And the only person who knows the answer to that is me. And sadly, I have to let you know that there will not be a quiz time next week. So true was correct in this case. There will be no quiz time next week. Matt is still going to be on holiday, and I have a prior commitment, so I cannot host it instead of him, sadly. And so there will be no quiz time next week. There may still be an event up on Facebook. I will cancel that to make sure that there's no confusion. But just wanted to let you know there will be no quiz time next week. But the week after, we'll be back. Matthias is going to be back from vacation. He'll surely have thought of many, many super fun, super cool questions. And just wanted to let you know. And I figured this would be a good way to do it, to just ask you in this true or false segment. So with that, we've got our 3rd winner of the night, and it is Amy. Amy, congratulations. You have won this round of our little true or false quiz. I'm going to note down your name to make sure that I remember that you were our lucky winner. Amy, congratulations. For you, same as for everyone else, I've already mentioned, please send us an email to live@hobbii.com. That is Amy, as seen on the little graphic just now. Please send us an email to live@hobbii.com, and I will make sure to send you your gift card worth $25 or equivalent in your currency. Please do include the information of where it is that you are located so that you can get the code that works for you. And I'm going to take that away again. And we do have one final little giveaway coming up for you. And for this one, it is for all of you. So all of you can participate. You do not need to know any information. You don't need to guess anything. All you need to do to participate on this final giveaway of the night is to simply type #HobbieQuiz, which is written very, very small right there. It is quite tiny, but #HobbieQuiz on the chat, and that, fixing that a little bit, #HobbieQuiz, like you will now also see many, many people post in the chat anyway, so post #HobbieQuiz in the chat for a chance to participate on our final giveaway of the night. Here we will just find a winner at random, and it is enough to type it once, but of course you can also type a few times if you would like, but once is enough to be in the running for a gift card worth $25 or equivalent in your currency. And so you can just type #HobbieQuiz in the chat for a chance to win. Well. This is how we're going to find the final winner. Oh, I just saw someone say that they might be super delayed. Brittany, if you're hearing this now and you've typed your comment 15 minutes ago, then yes, I am sad to say you are quite delayed. It is always quite good for these kinds of streams to just refresh occasionally to make sure that you're watching on live, so that your answers also get counted. You've got about 50 seconds left to type hashtag Hobbii quiz in the chat to make sure that you are in the running for the final gift card. And with that, I'm also going to already start saying thank you all so much for joining me for today's session. I hope you enjoyed. I hope it was fun for you. I will be back next Tuesday for live shopping, so I will be there Tuesday, 5 p.m. on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, wherever you would like to watch. I will actually also be here on Monday with Regina. We're going to have another lovely bingo session together. So I'm going to hang out with Regina on Monday and maybe see some of you there. And then next Thursday, sadly, no quiz time. I'm very sorry. But the week after, when Matt's back, we're going to be back to our regularly scheduled program. And it is going to be super fun as well. I assume that at some point I might also come back for this if Matt goes on holiday again. I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed getting back into being the question master and coming up with a lot of fun different quizzes. And it's been super fun to hang out with you. We're now going to find our final winner of the night, and it is Kim Smith. Maybe Smith with the H missing. Kim Smith, congratulations. You are our final winner of the night. You will also receive a gift card worth $25 or the equivalent in your currency. And all you have to do to get that gift card is just to send us an email to this email address. So Kim Smith, please send us an email to live@hobbii.com to make sure that we send you your code. As I said before, I will go through that inbox tomorrow. So if you've already written, perfect, then you'll get your code sent to you tomorrow. If you don't get around to it, don't worry. We're not taking the codes away if you email us a few days later. Just do remember to do it so that you get your prize. And as I said, thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you had fun. I hope you had a nice time. And I look forward to seeing you all very soon for live shopping or bingo or another one of these. And until then, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, good night, and I'm going to be out.